Good afternoon, everyone. We'll get started in 2 minutes. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Calhoun County Joint Information Center briefing for Wednesday, January 13th, 2021. Next slide, please. Administrative notes, please mute your phone. Next slide, please. Our unified command team, Kelly Scott. Today, Ted Deering, filling in for Rebecca Fleury, and Eric Pessel. Next slide, please. And next slide, please. Today's agenda. And we'll begin with the current situation and Eric Pessel. Eric?
Thank you, Dirk. So I guess everybody can see our total numbers now, 7,275 as of, looks like 2 p.m. yesterday. Total hospitalizations at 363, and our total death count is now up at 189. You can see our epi curve in that graph. We did start to see it going down pretty drastically there, late November, early December. We are watching the tail end there, beginning of January. We are starting to see just a slight uptick. It is something for us to pay attention to. We don't want to see that trend continue to go up. We want to see it turn around and go back down. We're thinking that more than likely we're seeing an effect of our holidays and the fact that folks were still gathering, and at least that's what we hope it is. So we're going to pay attention to that over the next week, and hopefully it's going to continue to trend in the right direction and not trend in the wrong direction. Next slide. So just a quick review, since we're back in school now, and most all of our schools, I think in the county, are doing some form of in-person. I think all of our schools are doing some form of in-person now. Many of them completely in-person. Just to give you an idea of where most of our cases are in our 0 to 17-year-old group. And you can see obviously that the older you are, the more likely you are to be infected with COVID, with the older age group, the 15 to 17-year-olds being the highest. And you can also see in that epigraph, it kind of almost mirrored what our county was seeing as well. where we started to see a pretty good uptick there in early October. It sustained its way until November and then started to come down once we had shut down the high school 9th through 12th grade. Next slide. Dirk, I'm going to wait for this one to do last. Can I go to the next slide and then I'll come back to this?
Absolutely.
So a little bit of data comparison. I was doing this for a school earlier this week, and I thought it was important for us, especially since we're just coming off the governor in a press conference today, just to look back at where we were. So on November 11th, which was basically 2 months ago, the closest data we could get for this was January 8th. But on November 11th, we were seeing a daily positive, confirmed positive of 69. On January 8th this year, we saw 38. Our percent positive on November 11th was at 15.4. And now on January 8th, we've seen that come down to 7.7. And our cases per million per day, which is a huge decrease, we were at 759 on November 11th, and we were at 231 on January 8th. And I want to point this out for really one main reason, and that is 7 days later after November 11th is when the order came out that then required or prohibited indoor gathering at our restaurants and bars. And it also had told the schools the 9th through 12th grade they needed to go virtual. So it does look like we might have had a little bit of a cause and effect. And our numbers are trending, like I said, in the right direction. Can we go back to the vaccine?
Yep.
Okay. So this has been the biggest thing on most people's minds, and certainly our phone lines are telling us that this is certainly something that people are interested in, and that's great. I'm really surprised and humbled at the number of seniors that are wanting to get the vaccine. Our uptake in our senior population, I think, is going to be excellent, which is really good news. And so just so everybody knows, I'm going to go through a little bit of our process and then understand that there's going to be more information as we roll this out over the coming weeks. And I would always tell folks to keep an eye on our vaccine website. Go to our website. We have a specific page just for vaccine. We're going to try to keep that updated as much as possible. Many times we're updating it daily. So our process right now, the governor last week on Wednesday, a week ago today, had announced that starting this week, we were going to open up to start vaccinating phase 1B. We had been only in phase 1A, where we were doing healthcare workers, frontline workers. We were doing nursing homes, those really high risk folks. And the governor opened it up to phase B, 1B. And they also added one more thing, which was different than at the time what the guidance was out of the CDC. And that is that they added the 65 and older to the 1B rather than it was 75 and older. And you might say, what does that mean? What that means here in Calhoun County is that's about 12,000 additional people that are added to the 1B group. And of course, that's fine, because we know that's the high risk group, and that's who we want to get vaccine in the arm the quickest. So we were able to come together with Carla Fales and her group at Carewell Services and Senior Services at the county, and Helen Guzzo and ourselves and our staff. And we came up with a hotline. And if people who want to sign up or at least be put on the waiting list, because all of our clinics were filled up in a day and a half, if they want to be put on a waiting list, they can call that number, 65 and older only, 269-441-0912. You can see it on the screen. And from what I understand, it's still getting a heavy call volume. It may ring busy. It may tell you that the mailbox is full. Keep trying, because I know that there's people that are working on it every day, working with it. They're dumping the mailbox. It's opened back up, and eventually you will be able to leave your message. It's really important for everybody to understand, once you've left a message, you are on the list. And at that point, we will contact you back when it's time for us to schedule you the appointment. Right now, it's just a matter of us getting our vaccine. We have scheduled up all of our vaccine is going to be in arms. By next week, we will be out. So we are reordering. We can reorder weekly, and we are reordering, and hopefully we will be confirmed that we'll receive the vaccine, and then we will continue to create more clinics, and we will contact you folks that are on the waiting list in the order that they were received. Also, I believe there's been some robocalls going out to that group just to let them know that we have received their contact information, and they will be called when a clinic can be scheduled. The essential frontline workers. So the other big group of 1B are all of your essential workers. So, schools, daycares, some food type work of, Kellogg's Post, Myers, Walmart, all of these groups that are in phase 1B. The process for you is that we will be reaching out to you with a survey, and you will be able to answer that survey, and then we'll be able to schedule a clinic when the time comes. Again, it's going to be vaccine dependent when we have enough vaccine to be able to schedule your clinic. Coming soon for this specific group, we don't have it today, but I'm going to announce it today. We will have an online form for the employer of this group to be able to fill out to be put on a list. And that is just going to be for frontline worker employers. The individuals do not need to sign up. We'll have the employers sign up, and that way we'll have the contact information for us. So when we're able to schedule that clinic, we'll have that information already, and we'll be able to reach out and schedule it. So look for our website probably early next week to have an online form that just 1B employers can fill out. And it's going to be maybe 3 or 4 questions, and that'll be the information we need to be able to schedule you for a future clinic. With that, I think I'm going to call it good there, but see if there's any questions, Dirk.
Yeah, thank you for that comprehensive report. We do have a hand raised, and that would be Kelly Rainey. Kelly, go ahead.
Hey there. Good morning, Eric. We talk often. I do have a couple questions for you, all surrounding the vaccine. I think one of the things, hearing that the vaccines are all accounted for and you all are running out, we saw yesterday that more vaccines were released. So how will that impact you all? And also going along with that, whenever you all are making these appointments for essential workers, are you all trying to determine the risk factor of them and give those who appear to be more at risk, maybe more on the front lines, face to face with customers and that kind of thing? Are you going to try to give them the first appointments?
Okay, so the first question was, if we get more vaccine, how will that affect us? It will affect us in a positive way because we'll be able to have more clinics and we'll be able to do larger clinics, larger mass clinics. So, our hope is that more and more vaccine becomes available, and it sounds like, it's getting there, but it's still not unlimited. And I think, until it's unlimited, we still have to logistically work it out so that we know that we can schedule a clinic and that we're going to have vaccine available. The worst thing I think we could do is schedule a clinic for 600 people or 1,000 people and then have to call them back the day before to say we have to cancel because we don't have enough vaccine. So that's really the part right now that is holding us back from being able to just go. And the second question, Kelly, was what?
Really quick, just to clarify, do you know if you all will be getting any of those extra vaccines that were released?
No, I don't know that. I know that every week we put in what we believe we can use the following week. That's what we're required to do. And so we have to look at how many of our clinics the following week are going to be first dose clinics, how many of those clinics are going to be second dose clinics, because we're already starting second dose clinics. And then that's what we order. And then if we get what we order, then we can go through with scheduling those clinics. If we don't get what we order, then of course we'll hold off. And then I think the other question was, are we going to prioritize our group 1B?
Yep.
And the state's kind of already done that for us. As we go through that, in other words, they've already put out there the 65 on up, and that's a priority. they also have on their teachers and law enforcement and daycare. So I think for sure we're going to be following through with those, but we will be, more than likely, we're going to have to prioritize early on until there's more vaccine available. And what we're hoping to do is be able to put those examples of those types of businesses on our website. Hopefully by next week, we'll have those on there for people to be able to see just where exactly they sit.
Okay, I wasn't sure if, like, you know, say, I know you mentioned specifically people, obviously teachers, understandable, but you had mentioned people at like Meyer or Post or Kellogg. So I wasn't sure if maybe you also look at their what their job is. So say if I work at a grocery store and I'm actually, I'm a cashier versus maybe an overnight stalker, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think for the logistics of doing a clinic in that type of atmosphere, we probably would just go to that business and we would do everybody in that business at that time. It's kind of like the schools as well. You could say that a night janitor wouldn't have as much contact as a teacher would, but when we go to do that, that clinic at that school, we're going to do everybody that's involved with the school at the same time.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for your question, Kelly, and thank you for the response on that, Eric. We have one more question, excuse me, from Shelley Seltzer. Go ahead, Shelley.
Oh, I see it's in chat, Dirk.
Yeah.
Is today's essential workers defined the same as it was on March 23rd? I do not believe so, Shelley. I believe if you look at the latest that came out of the state of Michigan, they define a little bit more what that group is and where that group is.
Thank you.
I think, and I'll give you an example that's coming to my head, a bank. I want to say that early orders, a bank was considered essential so people could get their money. But I don't think that they are considered essential in this aspect here.
Thank you, Eric. And thank you, Shelley, for the chat question. Appreciate it. Moving on to comments from elected officials. We'll start off with Senator Bison. Senator?
Hi, everyone. Senator Bison is still in session as far as I know, as of about 1 o'clock when I got on the call. So today's first day back into session for the Senate. So I really just have one thing. This is on the constituent side. I wanted to talk about an employee assistant grants program. This is a direct result of Senate Bill 748 that was signed into law in December. It's that relief bill to support businesses and also give direct payments to people laid off because of closure due to COVID. So the employee assistance grants program has been created. Grant applications are set to open on January 15th, this Friday. So these will be payments up to $1,650, and they'll be provided to approved applicants. The Michigan employees impacted include people who were laid off from bars, banquet halls, bowling alleys, cafeterias, casinos, caterers, food trucks, nightclubs, restaurants, theaters, recreational facilities. These grants are not first come, first serve, meaning the application will be open for submissions throughout a 10-day period. I will put the link to the application in the chat box. And if anyone has any questions, specific questions about the grant, you can also check Senator Bison's website or his Facebook page. And as always, if you have any other questions about anything, you're welcome to call the office, and I'll put that in the chat box as well. That's all that I have. Thank you.
Okay, Karen, thank you very much for that report. We appreciate it. Moving on to Representative Jim Hodzma. Jim, are you with us?
Yes, Dirk, thank you. On the House side, we just broke at 1 o'clock. We elected this session's Speaker and Speaker Pro Tem. I don't have much else to add beyond that which Karen described from the Senate side, and would urge those with unemployment compensation calls to continue to communicate with me and with my staff at 517-373-0555. Thanks.
All right, thank you, sir, very much. Moving on to Representative Hall, or their representative, his representative.
Yes, thank you very much. Representative Hall still making his way back to the office here. I just joined the call. We don't have any comments at this time, but welcome people with any issues or questions to contact Representative Hall's office if they live in his district, and we would be happy to try and help them out. And we look forward to working with you on anything where there's overlapping issues. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to comments from county elected officials. Do we have any comments from any elected officials today? Okay, hearing none, move on to tribal elected officials. And hearing none, we'll move on to city elected officials. And hearing none, we'll go to township elected officials. And finally, village elected officials. Okay, very good. Next slide, please. Best information sources. I'm going to leave this up for a second. For those of you that may not have this information, provided by our PIOs, Lucy, Jessica, and Victor. Thank you so much for that. And next slide, please. Contact us page. Oh, go back one, Cindy, please. Contact us. I just mentioned him. Lucy Blair, Victor Jovanovic, I hope I pronounced that right, Jessica Vanderkolk, our JOC public information officers that put all this together for us. The next live JIC will be Wednesday, January 27th. We hope you can join us. Next week will be by mail and by email, I should say. Hope you have a safe day and a pleasant week. Thank you so much for joining us.